6 years after Breath of the Wild redefined what it meant to be a Zelda game, and generally set about making every other open world that released anywhere near it kind of meh by comparison, Nintendo is back with an epic new adventure that doubles down on and deepens everything that made the 2017 Game of the Year such a success, while introducing an almost overwhelming amount of staggeringly brilliant new ideas and features. This is a jaw-dropping sequel that delivers everything a fan could possibly have hoped for and more. Right out the gate, Tears of the Kingdom positions itself as a darker, more story-focused adventure than its predecessor. The game kicks off as Link and Zelda investigate the source of a mysterious malaise deep underneath Hyrule, and it's not long before Link once again wakes up with no clothes on and a near-fatal wound. If he had a nickel for every time that happened, he'd have 2 nickels, which isn't that much, but it's weird that it's happened twice. To go much further into where the narrative takes Link and Zelda would be to risk Nintendo sending a blue shell to my house. All I'll say is there's much more story to sink your teeth into in this adventure, and plenty of brand new lore that's going to give timeline obsessives headaches for years. In Tears of the Kingdom, Link has an entirely new set of abilities that aid exploration and puzzle solving in all manner of highly flexible and creative ways. Link can now, for starters, swim up through solid objects, an incredibly useful tool for people who hated climbing mountains in the last game. If you see a massive peak, chances are there's a cave somewhere at the base you can explore for a much quicker way up. Our hero can also fuse objects to weapons in a gleefully anarchic doubling down of Breath of the Wild's much debated weapon durability system. Yes, weapons still break and shatter, but this only encourages you to constantly put together the maddest shit you can think of. Stick a moblin's horn on the end of a wooden stick to make a spear, or strap an ancient device to your shield to make an actual flamethrower. You can even fix a cannon on the end of a sword to turn it into a bomb-slinging bringer of death. Bigger, tougher monsters also drop deadlier parts, which certainly encouraged me to take more risks. I built up an enviable arsenal of hodgepodge weapons. Functioning as a kind of advanced magnesis from Breath of the Wild, Link's Ultra Hand can be used to, well, build pretty much anything from the parts around him. Strap some wheels and a steering stick to a wooden plank and you've got yourself a go-kart. Slap a couple of fans and a balloon to some metal plates and you can soar through the skies in your very own flying machine. There truly is no limit to what you can actually create in this game, and I adore that Nintendo saw players doing everything they could to break Breath of the Wild, and decide to fully lean into it for the sequel. I truly believe we'll be seeing all kinds of mind-blowing inventions in this game for years to come. Speaking of the world, it's massive! Frighteningly so, in fact. Anyone who suggested Tears of the Kingdom looked like glorified DLC and didn't justify the price tag will be eating humble pie by the shovel load when they clock the game's map, which is split into 3 separate parts. There's the sky, Hyrule, and the depths. A terrifying underworld filled with genuine horrors. Each of these realms feel markedly different, and it blows my mind that Nintendo has made it so that you can travel seamlessly between all 3, without a single loading screen. Yes, there's the occasional frame rate stutter and some rare pop-in, but when you can launch yourself from the highest point in the world, and dive right down into the bowels of hell without a whiff of loading on a 6-year-old handheld, you have to question what black magic Nintendo invoked. On the subject of Hyrule itself, a few fans have expressed concern that the world wouldn't be different enough from Breath of the Wild. I can confirm this is absolutely not the case. Yes, there are familiar locations and landmarks, but the upheaval causes some pretty substantial changes to the landscape that make it feel fresh again. A number of caves have popped up across the land as well as a result of Ganondorf's cheekiness. This is in addition to the depths, mind you, and they're all filled with their own secrets and treasures. One quick trip down a well to find a treasure chest underneath Castletown ended up with me spending an hour exploring a hidden network of caves filled with bosses and a shiny new armor set. Then there are the Sky Islands, many of which are a puzzle in themselves to reach. Finally managing to cobble together a rickety flying device that just about manages to get you up to that infuriatingly intriguing floating outcrop miles above your head is an immensely rewarding feeling. The depths, meanwhile, give way to genuine survival horror as you work to slowly piece together a markedly different realm that feels properly alien. It's also worth factoring in that some time has passed since Breath of the Wild, and the world feels far more populated as the good people of Hyrule continue their rebuilding efforts in earnest. Long-time Zelda fans will be thrilled to learn that traditional dungeons do make a return. There's still nothing quite as complex or robust as in Zelda games past, but they're certainly much meatier than their immediate predecessors. There are, of course, a ton of shrines with their own mini-puzzles and challenges scattered around. The very best of these smaller dungeons are the ones that essentially turn the game into Scrap Heap Challenge Hyrule Edition, giving Link a ton of junk, then inviting us to use Ultra Hand to build something beautifully weird to get over the obstacles presented to us. Whether you're leaping from a jet power glider onto the back of an ancient dragon, or accidentally riding your go-kart off the edge of a cliff because you strapped too many fans to it, Tears of the Kingdom effortlessly dances between the epic and the ridiculous. and every single moment in this vast, gorgeous playground will be completely unique to each player. I don't know how, but Nintendo managed to follow a straight up masterpiece with something bigger, better, and smarter. I feel genuinely bad for every other video game that has to be released this year. Our reviewer scored Zelda Tears of the Kingdom a perfect 10 out of 10.